Someone asked on Reddit, how old are you and what is the biggest challenge you face? Which story do you think is in an impossible situation? Mention it in the comments. Store 1.
I haven't had any problems since I straightened out my nonsense in my late 20s and became someone who's worth having around. Now, I'm almost 40. I know this sounds harsh, and I'm not saying it to put anyone else down. It gave me the ability to find my late spouse, and while the time we had together was short, it was incredible. The friends I've made over the years have been great for that kind of time. Here are some things I did to reach a point where I have more friends than time. Get real, no one is really thinking about me, we're all focused on ourselves. Stop seeing this as a bad thing. It's okay for people to be selfish with their time. They don't owe you anything. That's just how it works. Stop being so negative, quit complaining about everything, stop whining, and drop the sarcastic jokes. Grow up already, man. Fake it till you make it. Think of that person you know who lights up the room any day of the week. The coworker everyone loves. The one who's always happy and uplifting towards others. Start mimicking the things that elevate others and do that for them. Eventually, one day, you'll realize you're not even pretending anymore. You've become that positive person. Therapy, you get your teeth checked. Why not check in on your feelings? Selfishness. It's never all right to be selfish about anything other than your time. You don't owe people your time, and they don't owe you theirs. You win, you share, no grudges. Say, this is happening. I'd love for you to be there, but if you can't make it, that's cool. Trust yourself and allow some autonomy. I don't know, whatever. These are just some of the conversations I've had with myself in the past. If you can keep an open mind, you can become something amazing. I used to have 0 friends.
Store 2.
For me, the solution was to set clear boundaries. A perfect daily life where I can work for 8 hours and spend a few hours with my family and friends just wasn't possible for me. What worked for me was having a hobby, preferably a sport, and being able to communicate to my family and friends when I have important projects or tasks, letting them know they need to respect that. On the other hand, it was also about being able to tell my manager or supervisor that I couldn't handle a certain project because I needed a few days for my personal life. If you're good at your job, your boss will respect you, and you need to make sure your family respects you too. This is especially true during those times when you don't have a lot of free time and you have things you need to get done.
Story 3.
I recently turned 60. This was the hardest birthday for me. For the first time in my life, I seriously think about how I'm getting closer to the end. And while I know that this will happen sooner or later, I'm struggling a bit to accept it. I find myself often daydreaming about going back to when I was 10 years old and doing everything over again. What would I do differently? Of course, I would choose a different career path. Would I still go to the same college? Would I be able to convince my wife again and finally win her over? There are so many forks in the road and paths not taken. It's almost overwhelming. I've had a wonderful life with very few regrets. I'm trying to stay in shape because I want to see my grandchildren get married. I'm not religious, and I really don't believe there's anything waiting for me on the other side.
Story 4.
I'm 41 years old, a cancer survivor, and I'm grappling with substance addiction. I still feel sober because I haven't touched a pipe or used daily. Sometimes I go to festivals, and none of my friends know. I can hold off for 6 months at a time. Since my health isn't what it used to be, it helps keep me somewhat grounded. Chemotherapy and radiation ruined my sex drive. Now, I'm a single man who has given up on dating or finding a life partner. I've searched for asexual people but haven't clicked with anyone yet. This has pushed me to realize my demisexuality, and I think I've been in love with my best friend for nearly 20 years. We share a unique emotional connection. She was by my side during chemotherapy. She visited and called me when I was on my deathbed, and she wrote to me to encourage me while I was in rehab. Our drunken, half-hearted relationship before the pandemic doesn't help either. We hadn't taken any ED medications and were drinking at the time. I know that I can't give her the kind of physical relationship she deserves, and I'm too afraid to bring it up for fear of ruining our friendship. But she's my spiritual half, and I'm looking forward to the day she finally gets married. Of course, I'll be happy for her. She deserves the world. But I also know that many people aren't comfortable with their closest friends of the opposite sex. I find solace in my work, which I dedicate myself to. Fortunately, it's something that brings me joy and allows me to help the community. Since I don't have a family to look after, I've devoted all my energy to creating my financial situation to help my parents with their retirement. They took care of me for the 10 years I was using. They ensured I had a roof over my head, and they'll probably live longer than I will. Even though I'm cancer-free, I feel like my health will never be what it once was, and that's what's getting in the way of connecting with her or any other woman. Why would I want someone to go through the emotional ups and downs of being with someone who could soon be facing death? So I try to keep my head up and find joy in the little moments. But when you come out of a long life, you tend to invest less in the long term. From the outside, people think I haven't grown up and that I'm still partying. They see my party lifestyle as a reason I don't have a relationship. The truth is, moments on the dance floor, surrounded by strangers or friends, are when I'm the happiest. Yet, I don't want to explain myself or seek pity. I'm trying to invite my loved ones to share those little moments with me and to graciously accept those who say yes or no. I don't want anyone to feel guilty about spending time with me. I never want someone to put me in the nice guy category. I will keep moving forward and make sure to keep my eyes and ears open to those happy moments, at least until my time comes. And I hope that when I go, my loved ones truly understand how much I cared for them. In short, I'm 41 years old, and my fear of death is preventing me from living my life to its fullest potential.
Story 5.
I'm 25 years old, and I probably get underestimated all the time and seen as worthless. Whenever I do something or achieve something, people are always surprised, and that's turned my humility into a sort of inhumanity. I've started to realize that people don't expect much from me. They expect me to fail and underestimate my abilities. And this isn't just in my social life. I've encountered this everywhere. Work, leisure, home improvement, whatever you can think of. Whenever I try to buy a part or tool, I always get strange looks. And when I explain the projects I'm working on, people act surprised. When I mention my various certifications or licenses, my coworkers are always shocked. People expect me to fail at everything. And when I actually succeed at a task, they're always surprised and not in a good way. And it makes life hard. It's really tough to ask for advice from people when they don't take me seriously. It's really hard to pass interviews when people think I'm lying or exaggerating my skills and experiences. It's difficult to talk with my friends about experiences or projects when they're surprised I'm not still in jail. For a while, my humility has turned into annoyance and aggression, and it's starting to become a real problem in my life. When I was younger, I could understand why someone might approach me with skepticism when I said I rebuilt the cooling system in a project car. But now, it's become a real barrier to completing the tasks at hand. And that's just one example. Everything in my life is becoming a steep, solo struggle. And increasingly, I see that I have to convince people that I can do something I shouldn't have to do alone. To be honest, it makes everything I try to do in life so much harder.
Story 6.
My grandmother passed away, and since my dad was completely useless and my mom went to work, came home just to change, and then fled to church 7 nights a week, my grandmother raised me. She was the only person I had. Then, she spent a few years in a nursing home, and I was left alone with a neglectful man and a woman who only wanted what looked like a family, but had no interest in anything that came with it. After she passed away, they both realized they wouldn't be around forever and decided to play happy families. And I eventually thought everything was changing. I actually enjoyed spending time with them, as it was something none of us wanted in the first 20 years of my life. Then, not even 6 months later, my dad was hospitalized, and we had to watch his condition worsen for 3 months until we ultimately had to pull the plug. The worst part was that not even a week after my 21st birthday, we took him off life support. And on top of that, I spent my 21st birthday deciding whether to end his suffering or try to keep him alive. A friend eventually took me to get some weed on my actual birthday. Of course, I had to pay for the gas he used to get to my house and everywhere else, and I had to buy the weed and the food we got. It was a great birthday, discussing whether to end my dad's suffering while having to pay for everything for my friend. Then, after he passed, everyone stopped talking to me, including my family. My family said it would be too painful, and my friends didn't say anything and still haven't. The only people I'm in contact with are my mom and my boss, and I don't like it at all. I know it's my fault for not being extroverted enough to surround myself with better people, but still knowing I'm not good enough for anyone hurts.
Story 7.
Almost 43, lost my job 4 months ago. Still can't get my unemployment approved or figure out what the holdup could be. I did start a new job and then my car broke down, so I was let go. I couldn't afford the $61.50 each way for Uber. I'm still awaiting my tax refund so I can get a new car. Can't start work without a vehicle, as I'm in a rural area with no public transportation. I'm still applying and interviewing like crazy, hoping by the time I need to start, my taxes will be in or unemployment goes through. I owe 2 months' rent. There's no actual food in the house for the kids and I do hit up a local church when I can get a ride. I'm literally that person with no family to ask for help when I need it. I've never been so low in my life, actually.
If you have a story you would like to share, please share it with us in the comments. Also, subscribe to my channel for more Reddit stories like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Take care, friends.